All right guys, Chris here with RackUp+Go, and today we're gonna be getting rid of these ugly styrofoam blocks using this awesome GoCode kit. These are gonna be going up in these corners, giving us actually a little bit of extra space. You can see how large these are and how slim and trim these are. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right guys, so we're gonna start by removing this styrofoam on the driver's side here. This is really just held up top with some double-sided tape, so it's just kind of finagling it out, pulling it down, and then pulling it back. And a little extra piece here. All right, so we got our styrofoam removed here. Now we're gonna be working on this piece here, same thing. Just pull it down. You can see the double-sided tape up here. We'll try and get that to remove cleanly. All right, so we got our driver's side styrofoam all peeled off. Now we're gonna move over to the passenger side. Okay guys, so we got our styrofoam removed from our driver's side here, the overhead pieces here, and then also our passenger side, that's all been removed. Now we're ready to start installing our trim pieces. So it does help to kind of grab in here and flex this down. This little tab's gonna slip underneath that headliner there. And then this comes down and mates up very nicely here. And then we're gonna have a self-tapping screw that's gonna go in right here. So we've got a little red hardware bag in here. I believe this will have what we need for self-tapping screws. So, gummy bears. How nice of GoCode to supply us with a little snack. Yeah, that's good. Fuel your install. Thank you, GoCode. That was very nice. Nice little treat there. There's the hardware we're looking for. Perfect. These are very good gummy bears. I like them. So, we've got a series of M8 fasteners here, it looks like. We've got rib nuts. This will be used for some of the back pillar kits and stuff. Right now, we're just going to be using the self-tapper. I'm going to drive it right in through there. Driver's side is in. Our passenger side, I'm gonna do the very same here. It's just gonna slip down behind this, and then our weather stripping here will run right along this edge here. Cover this up very nicely. Just pulling this out to overlap. That'll also help hold it in place a bit. All right, so that wraps up our driver's side and passenger side. We got rid of those ugly foam blocks. We also gained just a little bit of room here, especially over here, because that foam came all the way out right about to here. So we're gaining all this space right here. These are able to be either spray painted or you can upholster them. Eventually when this van does get finished out, maybe we'll do some nice upholstery up over this, just to cover up some of this black plastic, make it look a little more finished and homey, I guess you could say. So, all right, now we're gonna move on to this pillar right here, over the head door, over the sliding door, and then we'll move to the C-pillar coming down that side as well. All right, with our driver and passenger pieces in, we're now moving on to over the door. So this, we're gonna angle in just like this. There's a small flange here that sits right behind here, so very easily we're gonna slip that over there. This is gonna mate up right here. This is gonna kind of stay in place, and then we're gonna take those self-tappers again, go in here, here, here. There we go, nicely trimmed out. All right guys, we got our overhead trim installed here. Next we're gonna be moving over to the C-pillar. This one's pretty easy install. We're just gonna peel off this tape and it's gonna stick right to this panel down here, holding this in place. This piece is going to fit right up to the piece that we just had installed. We're just gonna slip this little flange behind the weather stripping here, all the way down. Just pressing and holding, keep that adhesive, give that adhesive a chance to bond to the side of the van. All right, there we go. We got our C-pillar installed here. Trim kit's all set to go. And this is gonna provide a nice, just seamless transition to our wall material here. So our walls will pick up from here and then move on back. Now we're gonna be moving back to the van door opening. So we're gonna be doing a similar piece like this over the head of the van doors and then down each side on the back of the van. All right guys, we moved back to the back of the van and right now we're gonna be applying this trim piece over this section, this upper section here. But before we do that, we need to drill out these holes here to 23/64 and then we have some rib nut inserts that are gonna get pounded into each of these holes, and then our 1/4 bolts are gonna end up passing up through the bottom here on each of these spots and securing this piece up into this overhead section. All right guys, came here to eat gummy bears and install this GoCode trim kit, and unfortunately I'm all out of gummy bears, so that means I gotta get going on this trim kit. We've got our 23/64 drill bit here. We've drilled these holes out 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's gonna be for our top trim piece. The next step is going to be installing these rib nuts. These are gonna insert right into these holes up here. And we have our rib nut expansion tool, which if you don't have one of these, you're gonna want one for this install. So this is going to thread onto this device here. You're going to insert it into this pre-drilled hole, and we're going to press in just like so, and this threads out. Now we've turned just a regular hole into a threaded spot where we have the rest of our hardware here. Once we get our trim kit placed up in there, this will thread right into it and secure it perfectly in place. Now for the sides, we have already some pre-tapped holes in the van, but the very top hole that we're going to be installing into, this one up here, and then this bottom hole, we are going to be also using these rivet nuts in top and bottom on this right side, in top and bottom on this left side, and that'll secure the side panels. The side panels will come on second. First, we've got to get all these installed. We'll snap that plastic cover piece up and over these little brackets here, and then we'll be able to bolt that in, and then our side pieces will go on. So we'll finish up these inserts, get the drill in these holes here and down there, and then we'll get the sides bolted on. All right, we've got all 4 of our threaded inserts installed. And now the tricky part is going to be getting this on. It's going to take a little bit of flexing in order to get it around these 2 brackets here. And we're actually going to kind of start with one side like this, and guiding this side up. Just like that. There we go. All right guys, now that we got our upper trim piece installed and snapped around these 2 brackets here, we're gonna install the bolts into each of these 4 locations where we just put those threaded rivet nuts into. And for these, we're going to be using the bolts that are very flat on top. They don't have like a little bubble. They're not like a rounded head. These are pretty flat. And pay attention to the instructions and make sure you read all the way to the bottom step first before doing this, because you do need to use Loctite for all of these fasteners. They do include a little Loctite sample pack here. You just snap that off. We're gonna just drizzle a little bit on here, coating those threads. All right, next we'll get started on drilling our top holes here. That's where the other threaded nut inserts are going to go. And then all the way down at the bottom. It'll be the same size drill bit, the 23/64.
All right guys, our top trim piece is all installed. We've got all of our bolts installed with Loctite. Now we're gonna move on to our side trim pieces. We've already got our rivet nuts installed in the top and the bottom locations. So we'll start threading in. Our flathead bolts are gonna go on the top on each side and the bottom on each side. And then we actually have more of a rounded head bolt that's going to get installed in the middle locations where there's already a factory threaded insert in there. We'll start with our driver's side. All right guys, we got all of our trim pieces installed here in the back, all 4 bolts in the top with Loctite, 4 bolts down the passenger side, 4 bolts down the driver's side, all with Loctite. And that completes the install of this GoCode trim kit. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below, or you can reach out to us at customercare@RackUp+Go.com. And remember, life's an adventure, rack up and go.